everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Cameron, and today we are going to be talking about my June wrap up. So in the month of in the month of June, I read a total of 5 books, which is not my normal book count. Normally I'll read up to like 8 to 13 books in a month. I just haven't been really feeling audiobooks lately. Something about, like, I can listen to audiobooks, but sometimes like my ADHD, it just gets in the way and I just can't deal with it. So we didn't read that many books this month, but that's okay. It doesn't bother me that I didn't read that many books because I still read something. And that's one thing I want you guys to understand. It's just like, if you don't read, so like, who cares if you didn't read 13, 100, 70, 23 books in a month? As long as you get something done, it's an accomplishment. My sister-in-law texted me saying that she read 3 books, and I was so proud of her. I am so proud of her. Shelly, if you're watching this, love you, girl. So proud of you. So for the month of June, I really wanted to touch on a little bit of nonfiction. So the first book that I read for the month of June, it is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. So this book, it is about a character named Esther Greenwood, and Esther Greenwood, she's modeling, she's living her life, she's going out with her friends, she's dating boys, she's doing her thing, but slowly you start to see Esther kind of going down this rabbit hole of depression, anxiety, and we literally see her word for word account of what happened to her, even including going through shock therapy and having to live in an insane asylum. And then also you just see all the attempts on her own life that she has made, and it is such a difficult book to read. So trigger warning, if that is something that you are not really into reading, you can't handle it, I would steer away from this book. But this book is loosely based on Sylvia Plath and her own life. So if you know, I am currently reading the unabridged journals of Sylvia Plath, and she does mention the bell jar, and you really see how much of the bell jar has not influenced, but how much of a story of her own life that it tells. Because the entire time that I was reading that book, I was just like, this is Sylvia, and this is probably something that she was going through at some point in time in her life. And even though it is considered fiction, I personally count it as nonfiction, because if you read it and you hear about Sylvia Plath, you know she's talking about herself. I did annotate the book, and I did mark all of the, like, I have a whole key for it and everything. So if you guys want to see that key for it, just let me know. But yes, that is the first book that I read for the month of June. So keeping it up with my nonfiction theme for the month of June, which didn't last that long, but whatever, I read Lana Del Rey's Violet Bent Over in the Grass Backwards. So this book, it is a compilation of poems, haikus, sonnets by Lana Del Rey herself, the song artist and writer. So there really isn't a theme to this. It is literally just Lana Del Rey's pictures, her poems, haikus, and everything that she has written over time. And I do see some meaning to what she's writing, but for me, I think it's just because this is one of my first attempts of reading nonfiction and poems and poetry, that it didn't really mean much to me, and it didn't really, I guess, grasp me in the arms of poetry. It was okay. It was okay. She's not like the next Tennyson, but I do see a lot of resemblance between her and Sylvia Plath. So it's really just about her own life and the struggles that she makes. It's a lot about romance and love and heartbreak, breakup. So I did think it was a beautiful book. The illustrations in the book were beautiful. The pictures that Lana did were absolutely beautiful as well. You see her going through her day-to-day life in Los Angeles. So it did give me a little bit of insight into the singer's life, a little bit, because I do like Lana Del Rey a lot. It was something that kept me entertained for a little bit. Now, would I recommend it? Sure. I definitely think somebody else is going to. If you like Sylvia Plath, I think you will like Lana Del Rey's book, just because, like I said, there are similarities between the two. But if you're looking for a serious read, like really hit your heart, probably not the best one, but I still thoroughly enjoyed it, and it's sitting on my bookshelf. I would definitely recommend picking that book up. So the next book that I read, it is fiction, and it is a murder mystery thriller, and it's All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. So if you do not know who Ashley Flowers is, she is the host, the creator of Crime Junkies, where she talks about true crime mysteries that have happened and unsolved cases that are still going. And she wrote a book. she wrote a book, and I'm super grateful to Random House Publishing and NetGalley for giving me an arc of this book, and it does come out August 16th for anybody who is interested. So this book, it is about a journalist named Margot Davies, and she was from a small town named Wakarusa, Indiana, and when she was 6 years old, her best friend January Jacobs was kidnapped and murdered, and her body was thrown into a ditch. So they did believe that this was a serial killer. So 20 some odd years later, Margot comes back to do a story on the disappearance of January Jacobs, but nobody wants to touch on the topic because they say that they caught the killer, it's over and done with, leave it alone. But Margot doesn't really feel like that's the case, because another young girl the exact same age as January Jacobs was when she was kidnapped is kidnapped and murdered in the exact same way. And Margot is also there because her uncle is suffering from Alzheimer's and he has been having a lot of difficulties living on his own. So Margot decides to live with him and take care of him, while also taking on the duty of writing the story about January Jacobs. But as she's writing the story, somebody is leaving her notes, and things are getting a little bit dangerous because she's getting a little bit too close to solving what happened to little January Jacobs. So this book is Ashley Flowers' first novel ever, and I am so happy for her. She has no idea who I am, and she's not gonna watch this, but Ashley, I'm proud of you, girl. So proud of you. Now, I will say this. If you are like me, you are a true crime, horror, thriller aficionado, this is going to come off as cliche to you, which is like, it is what it is. There's only so many murder mysteries that you can write of different kinds, but I still thought this was a really great read, and it had me thinking. It did have me thinking. It had my gears turning. I could just, even just by reading the book, I can just tell how excited she was about writing this book, because there's so much detail. All the characters have so much dimension to them, and even the mystery itself, it takes you down a rabbit hole of something even bigger, and you also go outside of the town. So there is a lot of world building and development in this story, and as a first-time author, you go, girl, because she did good. She did really good. I do believe I gave it a 4-star out of 5, or at least like a 3.5. No, I think I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 for tops, just because there were some holes that were never filled. There were some things that we don't really find out too much about, but it was something I could live with. I was just like, it wasn't anything too significant, but I do remember it was brought up, and I do remember that it was never talked about again, something like that. But it's nothing crazy. But All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers is definitely a book I think you should pick up, which comes out on August 16th of this year of 2022. The next book that I read is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. So this book, it is based on the oldest sister, Piper Bellinger. So Piper, party girl, spending her stepdad's money. She's living the life, she's doing these things. But one party goes awry when she throws a party at one of her stepfather's investors for a big movie he's working on, and they decide to cut the movie because Piper partied it up and destroyed the house. So what does her father do to teach her a lesson? He ships her off to the fisher town where her birth father was born and raised, and where she was also born. But her stepfather and her mother think it's a good idea for her to go to that town, learn your roots, learn where you came from, and also get a little bit of a reality check on what it is that's out there other than money. So she goes to this town with her sister in tow. They find where they're supposed to be staying, and this big burly sea captain named Brendan is there, and he is not happy. He's like, why are you here? Who are you? You gotta be a joke. I think you're in the wrong town, honey. And she's like, no, I'm here. My father owns this bar, and yeah, I'm gonna live here. And in comes the drama. So Brendan and Piper, there's a lot of steamy romance going on. There's a lot of fire and sparks, and these two are just people that have been hurt, and they are putting up walls with each other because obviously they don't want to be hurt again, but at the same time they're really feeling each other, which I'm all here for the toxicity. So like, here's the thing. I have a guilty pleasure. And my guilty pleasure in fiction, let's not get it twisted, in fiction, it's a little bit of toxicity where it's just, he is like super rude to her, and he has to win her back because she's just like not having it. Because I have read, let me tell you, I have read so many books where the guy is just rude and nasty to her and she just misses him, and I'm just so tired of reading those. So I'm just like, give me something a little bit different. Make him work for it. Make him work for it, sis, because he sat there and called you a rich brat. Like, he doesn't get to go have dinner in Nookie after that. No thank you, absolutely not. So in this book, Piper is actually the sweetest character with issues that I've ever read about. Basically, like I said, whenever I read fictional books, especially when it's like rich people problems, the rich person is always like super mean and nasty, but Piper is the cutest. She's the cutest, nicest character that you will ever read about, and it is such a refreshing change because I'm so tired of hearing about like rich people that are just super mean and nasty. Like, give me a rich person who's really sweet and nice and caring, which is Piper. That's literally Piper. She goes out of her way to help Brendan overcome what he's going through, which you're going to read about. You're going to see her learn how to cook. You're going to see her learn about her father and just change his town for the better. And I was super obsessed with it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. And I have the next book, which is about her sister. What is her sister's name? I have the book right here. So this is a 2-book series. So the next one, it is Hook, Line, and Sinker, and it is with Hannah and Brendan's best friend Fox. So we haven't read that yet, but we're super excited to read it. So I'm probably gonna give this one a 4.5, maybe a 5 out of 5, who knows, but I'm super obsessed with this book and these characters, and I absolutely think you will too. The next book that I read, it is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. So this book, it is about a woman named Nora Stevens. She is a cutthroat agent. Her life is books. She gets people publishing deals. That is her life. That's what she does. And they actually call her the shark because she knows how to cut a deal. So Nora's sister Libby, she's pregnant, she's having her 3rd kid, and she just wants to get away. She wants to live like this fantasy lifestyle, and who else can make her dreams come true than her big sister Nora? So Nora books a trip for her and Libby to go to Sunshine Falls in North Carolina, and they go out there and they have like this checklist of everything they're gonna do. But while Nora is there, she meets her ultimate publisher agent rival, Charlie Lustra. And Charlie and Nora have butted heads more than once. All of their interactions have always been a fight, an argument, or just something where they just hate each other's guts. But come to find out, Charlie is also in town of North Carolina, Sunshine Falls, and they have to meet up because they are both fighting for a deal with this one book that they are both working on. So while Nora is there, her sister Libby wants her to just basically let go of life, let things happen, and just have fun, enjoy your life. And while Charlie is there for some unknown reasons that I'm not going to spoil the book for you, but he also is there for his own reasons, and him and Nora end up intertwining their meetings and lives more than once, and they start to defrost each other's icy exteriors. Now, this book was funny, super funny. I literally gave it a 4.5 out of 5 because I just loved it that much. It is so hilarious. I highlighted, I don't even have the book with me, it's somewhere on my shelf. I highlighted so many green parts, which was funny because Charlie and Nora, they have my sense of humor, and it's like a really dry, quirky sense of humor. So what would seem like a dig to somebody else is funny to me because we know that's not what it meant. But the chemistry between these two, it is so adorable, and I like how they understand each other in that sense to where they can literally hurt each other's feelings, and like I said, it'll be a jab to somebody else, but to them it's like it's a common understanding. So same thing, kind of like siblings. Even though I know this is a romance book, but they fight like siblings where they make jabs at each other, but you know they don't mean it. Like my sister, I told my sister she has an apple head, but like we don't mean it. It's just funny. It's just funny. That's what we do, okay? This is the first book I read where they love books and they're in love. They love each other. It's really great. I love it. I'm here for it. So Book Lovers by Emily Henry was one of the books that I read for June. So the last book that I read, it is a manga, and it is The Way of the House Husband by Kosuke Ono. Yes, Kosuke Ono. Yeah, I think I said that right. Now, it's so funny because I'm reading this book, but I don't know his name. Maybe I just keep missing it whenever I read it, but this book, it is about a man who was in the underworld. He was a part of this gang called the Yakuza, and they called him the Immortal Dragon because he just left chaos behind him wherever he went. And now he's a house husband. He's married. He's gone from that life, and he decides that his life, his new goal is to make his wife happy, have a happy home, and get all of the deals and sales at the supermarket. So if you guys like Spy Family, you will love The Way of the House Husband, just because that humor is there, and it's kind of, it's not dry sense of humor, but it's really quirky. So one thing that I really liked was, if he's cutting a vegetable, he'll cut it so aggressively, he breaks the cutting board, and he's talking like in like these secret lingos, but there's hidden meaning to what he's saying. And it's so funny because in one of the books he goes to a yoga class and he's just, this is the pose that we do when we throw somebody in the ocean with bricks tied to their ankles, and the instructor is just like, remember everybody, sharing is not always caring. And it's just but you literally see him go through all through town, and people recognize him as the immortal dragon, and it goes right over his head, and he's looking down at, oh, this is a sweet deal on cucumbers, or oh, my wife would love this figurine, and people are shaking in their boots because they're just like, oh my gosh, that's the immortal dragon, and he's looking at cucumbers. But I thought it was absolutely hilarious, and I am on book 3 going on 4 as we speak, because I just can't get enough of it. On top of that, why is he hot? He's actually kind of hot. So if you're interested, I'm just saying, that one is definitely something you want to look at. So The Way of the House Husband by Kosuke Ono is the last book that I read for the month of June. All right, everybody, that is it. That is all of the books that I read for the month of June. If you guys do not know, we already picked our book for the month of July, and that is My Best Friend's Exorcism, which I have already finished. Now last month it was Amari and the Night Brothers, but I did not finish it. I'm still working on it. And if you guys have not finished the book for the month, don't feel guilty about it. Finish it when you can. It's just, I have been busy. I haven't been able to read as much as I wanted to, and that's okay. Like I said earlier, that's okay, that's fine. So if you guys want more bookish content, definitely give me a like and a subscribe, and comment down below how you feel about the video, any other videos that you guys might want to watch, and I will definitely get to those. So thank you guys so much for watching. I love you all so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.